We're live. Yay. Welcome, you guys, to the Killer Author Club. We're so excited to have the one and only Emily Carpenter here tonight to tell us all about her latest Gothictown, which is so good. You guys have to read it. Grab your cocktails and your list of questions for Emily, and we will see you on the flip side.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gudenkauf, and Kaira Rouda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to our new members and all of our OGs watching live, catching the replay, or listening to the Killer podcast. We are so glad you're here. I'm Killer Kaira Rouda.
And I'm Killer Heather Gudenkauf.
And Killer Kimberly Bell is off for the launch of Desperate Deadly Widows. Yay! And we're so excited for her about that. And she'll be back. But tonight we've got Killer Emily here in the clubhouse, and we're going to be talking all about Gothictown in just a minute. First, a couple messages. If you love tonight's show and want more, and who doesn't, check out our Killer Postmortem, otherwise known as the After Show, and it's exclusive.
Oops. She'll come back. We'll give her a second here.
Oops.
You're back.
Okay, I'm back. Oh, no. Did I go away? Oh, no. Did I tell us about Postmortem? Did we hear that part? No. About our podcast? No. Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, you guys. I don't know what's happening. I'm in a hotel room, so I apologize if I go away again. Anyway, I was just telling you that we have special content that's only available on our podcast. So you've got to tune into that. Those drop every Friday. I also have to say, we have other breaking news.
Yes, we do. And so we have to do this. All right. Do you want a signed first edition copy of 3 Killer Hosts' upcoming books, plus exclusive Killer Author Club book theme swag? Well, today you can subscribe to the KAC Book Box, offered in partnership with the fabulous Swamp Fox Bookshop in Marion, Iowa. And sorry.
Okay, every bundle will be carefully curated and delivered right to your doorstep. And trust me, you'll want to be part of this because we've got some seriously killer merchandise only available in this subscription.
Yes, and first up, right around June 3rd, you'll receive a signed first edition copy of The Expat Affair by Killer Kimberly, plus exclusive Killer Author Club swag, plus a little something with international flair.
Then on or about June 10th, you'll receive a signed first edition copy of Jill Is Not Happy by Killer Kaira. That would be me. Yes. Am I still here or not? I don't know. Okay. I'm hoping I am. Okay. And a Jill approved surprise to make you happy, even if Jill is not.
All right. And then right around November 4th, you'll get a signed first edition copy of The Perfect Host by Moi, plus exclusive Killer Author swag, plus a sweet little something that will make you say, yee-haw.
3 books, all sorts of killer swag. What are you waiting for? Sign up for the Killer Author subscription book box. We'll drop the link in the comments in just a minute, but you can also sign up at killerauthorclub.com. And now, Heather, finally to our special guest. Could you please introduce her?
I would love to. Emily Carpenter is the best-selling author of suspense novels, Burying the Honeysuckle Girls, The Weight of Lies, Every Single Secret, and Until the Day I Die. Her most recent release is Reviving the Hawthorne Sisters, which Publishers Weekly called a refreshingly modern Gothic tale, and Kirkus called an exciting Gothic-tinged quest. As Isla Moore, she has published a contemporary romance series, The Thornhill, Georgia Books. Emily has worked as an actor, producer, screenwriter, and behind-the-scenes soap opera assistant for CBS shows As the World Turns and Guiding Light. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, she now lives in Atlanta, Georgia with her family. And congrats, Emily, and welcome to the Killer Author Club.
Thank you so much. I just realized that bio is out of date because my latest release is actually Gothictown.
Gothictown, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So many questions about Gothictown. So can you tell us really quick, what's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gothictown is about Billy Hope. She is a Manhattan restaurateur, and unfortunately, during the pandemic lockdown up in New York City, she had to shut down her cafe that was very popular. So now she's kind of stuck in her New York apartment with her husband, Peter, who is a therapist, and her small daughter, Mare. She gets an email out of the blue from this town called Juliana, Georgia. And they are soliciting new residents to kind of boost the economy of the town. They're offering houses for like $100 and business grants. So she and her husband take Juliana up on their offer and move down.
Such an amazing premise. I was immediately sucked in. So we
What
loved
could
it.
possibly go wrong? You know, what
Yeah.
could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
That's not too good to be true. Not at all.
No.
So readers, you need to get chatty and start dropping your questions in the comments for us to ask of Killer Emily. But first, it's time to talk about this episode's special drink.
Right. As you know, the killers love our cocktails and mocktails. And every episode, we ask our killer guests to come equipped with a favorite. Killer Emily has chosen the Peach Bellini, yum, as her special drink. Emily, could you please tell us why?
Okay, so the peach Bellini, first of all, peaches grow in Georgia. It's kind of the symbol of the state, and that is where my book is set, is in the fictional town of Juliana, Georgia. And also, Billy opens kind of a breakfast, lunch, and brunch cafe down in Juliana. So they're serving mimosas and Bellinis. And so, yes, that's...
Yeah.
And I actually got my hotel bartender to make me a peach Bellini.
Nice.
So great.
You're in the middle.
Cheers.
Cheers to an
Cheers.
amazing book.
Yay.
And you need one because you're in the middle of an epic tour. So that
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we're happy to celebrate with you.
Yeah.
So
Thank
as
you.
you know, the Killer started the Killer Author Club just over 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best suspense and thriller authors in the biz. So our spring and summer lineup includes superstars like Amy Tintera, Peter Swanson, Anthony Horowitz, and Heather Graham, and so many more. So for dates, times, past episodes, you know where to go, killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, we're here to talk about Gothictown, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Publishers Marketplace called it a buzz book selection. Our very own Kimberly Bell said, a Gothic banger of a story, quirky characters that come alive on the page, and a sneaky, steady building of tension to claustrophobic proportions. Creepy in the best possible way. Gothictown is an absolute knockout. So that's from Killer Kimberly. And Jane Ann Krentz, New York Times bestselling author, says it's a high-energy read that effortlessly reinvents the modern Gothic while delivering all the elements that make the genre so captivating. A haunting atmosphere, a dark legacy, a determined heroine, and a whisper of horror. I love the Gothic, and I love Gothictown. So, Emily, you are clearly a fantastically creepy killer in all the good ways. So we need to know the answer to this killer question. Where do you kill?
Okay. When I was thinking about this question, all I could think was in this book, I kill in broad daylight, which not literally during the day, because they're night kills as well. But it's like the kills in this book are like not hidden. Like they don't even try to hide some of these kills. And I realized like there's a lot more murder in this book than like anything I've written before. So yeah, I was just like, wow, they just like out in the open. They're just like, there's a lot of them and they are not trying to hide it. So
right. That's why we really wanted you on the Killer Author Club. You're just killing all over the place.
Right.
there's a lot of killing.
Yeah, but with impeccable manners, because we are in the South, and
This is true. They will smile while they kill you. Yeah, bless your heart, for sure.
Bless your heart. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. All right. So obviously we love this story, and I have read several interviews where you talked about how you came up with the idea. So can you share with us how the idea for this novel came about, and also a little bit about the history side of the story?
Yeah. So I really started thinking of the idea when I was reading some news articles back in like 2016, 17 about cities in the United States that were, soliciting people to come and to kind of boost their economies. And there was like, Topeka, Kansas, and there was like Alaska, Alabama, South Dakota. I mean, there was everywhere across the country. They were really wanting people to come and like start your business or go remote here, raise your kids here. And I thought it was just a really interesting concept because, I think we all kind of sometimes fantasize about like, what if I just pulled it up stakes and, move somewhere new and I can be a new person, live in a new house and have a new life. And, but then I read the story about, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. There was a story about a very small Italian village that was like tiny and turning into basically a ghost town. There's like, just a handful of people left, and they're all sort of elderly, and they really, really needed people to come and build up their town again. And, they're offering these crumbling medieval villas for like €1, but you had to like commit to, $25,000 worth of renovations, and you had to commit to like living there for a decade. And, it occurred to me, I was like, that sounds very suspicious to me. And like, I'm pretty sure that town in Italy is full of Italian vampires looking for blood. Like, it has to be bad, because
Right.
yeah.
It's
And so,
good.
yeah, exactly. And so I immediately thought like, this is a Gothic story for me on a silver platter. But, I don't really write stories about Italy or, international stories. So I just thought I can just pivot it a little bit to be a Southern Gothic.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
And with the history of the town that you've created, can you talk a little bit about that, like for the setting?
Yeah. So the town that I created is fictional because of all the murders that happened there. I wouldn't want to actually base it on a real town.
Nobody's going to want that.
No, it's not good. We don't need a lawsuit. So, but I did sort of use the history of my town, Roswell, Georgia, which had kind of the unlucky position of being like right in the line of General Sherman during the Civil War, coming through Georgia on his way to Atlanta to burn Atlanta down, and then on his way to the sea. And he did come upon the town of Roswell, where there were 3 cotton and woolen mills being worked by the women and the children because the men had left to go to war. And he burned the mills down, and he sent the women and children on train cars up north. And so when the men came home from the war, they found their families gone. So I just thought it was a really tragic story in this little town. It's just one of the many stories of like the fallout of war and like how innocents are hurt. And so, yeah, I kind of adapted that a little bit into the story of Juliana. And so I start with that in the book. I talk about like how most suspense books, we always put the secret at the end, and it's like the reveal is going to be to the end, and the reader reads and gets there. Well, I just went ahead and put it in the first chapter. So yeah, like what happened in the past and what was the big bad secret. And then you go from there, learning how Billy figures it out.
Well, that just really builds the suspense, because then we know what Billy's in for, right? Like we know that it's not going to be good. But I thought it was interesting because you talk about Billy and all the loss she's had with her restaurant, her mother, but you mentioned the pandemic in this book as one of the reasons that she needs to, start over. Did you write this part of this during the pandemic, or was that like reflecting back?
It was, I wrote it after, I
Mhm.
think. And I think I was kind of formulating it during the pandemic. And I will say, I part of what sort of made me decide to make Billy a restaurateur was right as my town was kind of opening back up and some of the restaurants were getting back on their feet. I was kind of stuck in my house and I was at sort of this low point in terms of my writing career and like what was happening in the business side of things. Um, and I needed to get out of the house. And so I texted a friend of mine who owns this fabulous restaurant. Can I go work for you? And she was like, yes, you can. And so I went to work in a restaurant. And it was during that time that I decided, oh, I'm going to make Billy a restaurateur. And then I read an article in the New Yorker about a woman who had had a fabulously successful restaurant. She had to close it down. And I was like, this is perfect. This kind of like clears the slate. And Billy's like, what do I have left to lose? And I think the pandemic kind of did that for a lot of people in terms of, pivoting, changing their business. It just made life different for a lot of people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a perfect setup to make sense why this young family would just leave everything and start over. And gentle Juliana. I want to say that you nailed the Shirley Jackson lottery vibe. I too, when I read that in high school, was like, oh my gosh, this people can write a story like this. And it like I'm reading it right now, right? Anyway, so I love how you walk the line in the creepy ghosts not quite being in the story, but like kind of haunting you from the edges. How tough was that to accomplish? Because they kind of help with everything, kind of like the lottery, like sneaking up on you.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that's kind of the books that I write kind of walk that line where we're not going full on into there is a ghost or there is a vampire, but I want that kind. And also it's not Scooby-Doo either. It's not like a man in a monster outfit. So there's this like line, this like whisper of supernatural and what's going on. And I try to like keep it grounded and real. And I mean, I think of my own life. There's things that maybe one day I believe and the next day I don't believe, or I'm not really sure where I stand on those kind of things, like what's behind the veil. So it is tricky to not let it go either way, but to stay on the tightrope. But I like that place. To me, it feels very real, actually.
Well, yeah, you did a great job because really good.
It was super creepy. So you've got Billy and Peter and six-year-old Mare. They are so excited to arrive in their new home. And then, things start to go awry quite quickly, even with their cat, Ramsey. You might even say it's catawampus, what goes on with the cat. But each of the family members, they kind of react in different ways to settling in to Juliana. I mean, Mare seems to love it. She's flourishing as the young person. Billy is flourishing in her own way because there's lines outside her restaurant for blocks. But Peter has a little different experience. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you decided to ramp up the tension this way and bring the Old South to life in this way?
Yeah. So that goes back to my big dark secret that's in the first chapter. Peter starts to have these strange, he has trouble sleeping. I'll just go ahead and say that. And I don't know about y'all, but when I don't sleep, not good. It's not like good. Like life is not good.
For anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's, and because of why he's not sleeping, which you find out later. That's he definitely just sort of starts to spiral out in many ways and take things out on Billy and Mare. But what I will say is that also the cat like responds to things in the same way that Billy does, right? So Billy is not in, I mean, Peter is not entirely at fault. We have a we appreciate the fact that he's trying, but
Yeah.
what I want to say about Mare and staying in the town, I had so many people say, like when they're reading the book, they're like, "No, get out!" Like you say in a horror movie, like
Yeah.
"Girl,
Get
run."
out.
Go,
But I'm
go.
like, if your child is happy somewhere, how
Yeah.
much are you going to do to figure out a way to stay in that place, right?
Right.
For sure.
So,
I don't know. I would have just gotten around.
or you have a mortgage-free house and 12
Right.
acres.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
there's
something.
that. I know. I know. For the whole time, I'm like, oh my gosh, just go. Just go.
I know that's a hard thing to, I mean, you guys know that's a hard tightrope to walk too, is
It
like
is.
when you keep somebody, one of your characters in the situation that like you would probably flee. But yeah.
But it totally made sense for her character. And like
Yeah.
you said, her daughter's happy. She's got a thriving business. Everything, seems fine.
And we knew a little bit more. We read that first chapter, and
Right.
Billy did not.
Yes.
Really.
Poor Billy.
Heads up. Okay, so Juliana doesn't have a bookstore. What does that say about the town?
Well, I leave that to the reader. Yeah, I will say I started off this book thinking Billy was going to open a bookstore, and I had written like the first chapters, and she was going to be a bookstore owner. And I decided not. I decided to have her own a restaurant. I thought that sounded a little more I don't know, cinematic, like more action going on. Although bookstores are very fabulous. I love them. But I realized I wanted to keep the fact that the bookstore was not in there because I feel like bookstores are places of learning and thriving and openness and progress. And I think what Juliana is all about is keeping things the same
Yep.
and making sure nothing changes.
Yep.
And it's kind of like totally at odds with what I feel like a bookstore is all about.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I noticed too, you really did keep it timeless in the town because very little mention of modern technology. We weren't seeing everybody, watching, streaming something, or even the music in the restaurant is kind of old timey. And so it's like you're kind of drawn back in time as well, just by
Yes.
being there. And then, knowing that it is actually current time is pretty cool.
That's creepy too. Okay, and congratulations on the AMC deal. Can you tell us anything about the Hollywood Sparkle?
Not a lot of sparkle yet. We're still just in like a pre-developmental stage, and we have a showrunner and executive producer, Abby Ajayi, that I'm very excited about. And I will be co-producing, and that's all I know.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So exciting.
Well,
Thank
we'll be waiting with bated breath for
We
that.
will.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I can already see it as. I mean, it just, it's perfect. It's perfect. All right, you guys, it is time. I hope I'm not. My stream is going all right. Okay, Emily is giving away 1 copy of Gothictown to lucky US viewers. It doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram. I think my Facebook cut off, so you're not watching mine. But please make sure to shout out where you're from. For a chance to win, correctly answer this question. What genre does Emily write under the pen name of Isla Moore? Ooh, that's tough. Okay. Good luck, everybody.
Yes.
No cheating.
No cheating. No. Or you can go back.
Or you can
just wait until somebody does.
We're in Juliana, Georgia. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no rules.
Well, as you know, the Killers are huge fans of independent booksellers, and we want to support the ones our Killers also love. So Emily has chosen Book Miser in Marietta, Georgia. Can you tell us why Book Miser is so important to you?
Well, I love Book Miser. The owner, Anel Gerson, is a dear friend. And when I was not writing, it's been 4.5 years since my previous book came out to now. And during those years, she was always giving me a call and saying, "Hey, do you want to interview these authors? Hey, do you want to take part?" And I really appreciated her kind of keeping me in the mix of
Yeah.
the publishing world and the author world. And she did my launch and sold out of books. So
Amazing. We
Yeah.
love booksellers.
we love her.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yay.
we'll be dropping the link in the comments so you can order Emily's book along with any others on your wish list from Book Miser.
And obviously, the Killers Love to Read, and our Facebook group is the place to share the love for fabulous books, post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. We love it when our TBR cups runneth over, which is why, Emily, we need to ask you, what are you currently reading or listening to during book tour?
Yes, I am listening because I'm in the car. So I am listening to Rednecks by Taylor Brown. And I just picked up a copy of Nowhere by Allison Gunn. So I'm very excited about diving into that as well.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. All
So-
right. Okay. And we are never more excited than when one of our very own killers releases a book. Kimberly Bell is our killer alumni tonight, along with co-authors Vanessa Lilly, Kate Houlihan, and Lane Fargo. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, the widows are back. Big hair and bigger lies collide in Desperate Deadly Widows, the highly anticipated follow-up to Young Rich Widows, where nothing's more dangerous than a widow with nothing left to lose. Now out in paperback, and we're dropping the link. I think someone is. Thank you. And the authors are giving away a book bag, which includes signed copies of both Widow books plus swag to one lucky US viewer. This is a great prize, you guys. So we'll drop the link in the comments so you can hop over to Inkfish Books and buy your own book bag if you don't win.
Right. And we also want to celebrate 2 fabulous new releases you'll want to add to your toppling TBR. First of all, check out Party Planning Can Be Murder by our very own killer assistant, Carrie Schaefer. Yay, Carrie. We're so excited. This book is so good. So small town party planner Addie Winters suspects murder when the dying rock star who hired her to plan his star-studded after death goodbye party dies ahead of schedule. So check that one out. We also have Vanishing Daughters by Cynthia Paleo. A haunted woman stalked by a serial killer confronts the horrors of fairy tales and the nightmares of real life in this breathtaking psychological suspense novel from a Bram Stoker award-winning author. So we've got 2 copies of Party Planning Can Be Murder to US viewers and 3 ebook copies to international viewers and 1 copy of Vanishing Daughters to a US viewer. So you know the drill. Drop a comment if you'd like to be entered for any or all of these books. And remember to tell us where you're from. Good luck. And don't forget to check out the killer's latest books. So look at this gorgeous cover for Kaira's upcoming, let me find it here, upcoming novel, Jill Is Not Happy, a thriller where an ill-fated road trip resurrects a married couple's darkest secrets, out June 10th.
Yay. And Heather, along with authors Karen Slaughter, just some people you might have heard of, Lee Childs, B.A. Pierce, and other members of the International Thriller Writers Organization, collaborated to create the Twisted Women's Book Club, an Audible original coming April 10th. But you can pre-order this twisty tale right now.
Thank you. And then speaking of gorgeous covers, Kimberly's The Expat Affair is out June 3rd, about 2 American expats in the deadly world of Amsterdam's diamond industry. So links for all of these are upcoming.
Yay. All right, you guys. And membership has its privileges. So if you're on Facebook, check out the Killer Author Club, our private group where every episode we choose a name from the hat to win a piece of swag. It could be a t-shirt, mug, candles, totes, hats, all of which can be found if you'd like your very own copies at killerauthorclub.com. Tonight's winner is Tina Shreve Nichols. Congratulations, Tina. Please send one of us killers your address and we'll send some killer author swag your way. And please, want to be the next winner? Become a member of the Facebook group and you're automatically entered. So you don't even have to do anything. You just have to join us. All right. So the link is up in the comments. Oh, and speaking of support, a big killer thanks to Book Reporter for sharing our upcoming episodes in their newsletters. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
And Emily,
there we go. Okay.
This is big news, Emily. We have to tell you, you survived the Killer Author Club.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad. I'm so relieved.
It was close. It was close. But
it was dicey.
It came down to the wire, but you made it.
So, Emily, tell everybody where they can find you and connect with you.
So I am on Facebook, Emily Carpenter, Instagram, emily.d.c, and sometimes Threads, very little blue sky.
There's just so many.
There's just so many. Or, flag me down as I drive past you on the highway.
Yes, because you're on a huge book tour right now. And that they can find all your book tour stops on your website?
Absolutely. On my website, also on Instagram and Facebook, I'm posting like every single day.
Good. That's the author's life for you. Yep. Okay. And that does it for tonight's episode. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and make sure to mark your calendars for 2 weeks from tonight. And we'll be back on April 22nd, our usual time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, with the one and only Heather Graham. She'll be answering all of our burning questions about our latest, The Murder Machine. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, sometimes TikTok, not really. For all the information you need, times, upcoming schedule, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf thekillerauthorclub.com. And thank you so much for being a part of the club. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
I got to get this. All right, guys.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.